So I, female 26, have been with my boyfriend Jake, male 29, for about 8 months now, and things have been really good between us, like probably the best relationship I've ever had, honestly. But lately, I've been dealing with so much family stuff. My sister keeps having these random emergencies every few weeks where she needs help with something and it's always urgent and always falls on me to fix. And I think it's been making me kind of paranoid. I don't know. I've just been stressed out of my mind lately. The thing is, Jake went to college with my ex-boyfriend. Let's call him Tyler. Tyler cheated on me with this girl from his work, and it completely destroyed me. Like, I found out they'd been having these long conversations about their personal lives and getting lunch together, and I was so stupid. I thought it was just normal coworker stuff until I found out they were sleeping together. So yeah, I'm maybe a little sensitive about workplace relationships, but I think that's pretty normal given what happened. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I was helping Jake meal prep for the week, which we do every Sunday. It's like our thing. And he mentions he stopped by the pharmacy during lunch. Normal enough, right? But then he told me that Sarah helped him pick out the perfect gift for his mom's birthday because she remembered him talking about how his mom loves lavender stuff. I literally stopped chopping vegetables. Sarah is his assistant at work. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. I asked him why he was talking to his assistant about his family and why she remembers personal stuff about his mom. Jake looked at me like I was being crazy and tried to explain it was just normal small talk. But honestly, I just kept thinking about Tyler and how it started exactly like this. Just friendly conversations that turned into something more. And the fact that she remembered what his mom likes. That's not normal coworker stuff. That's emotional intimacy. I guess I kind of lost it at that point. I started asking him why he needs another woman to help him pick out gifts for his family, why he's sharing personal information with her if she knows more about his life than I do. He kept saying I was overreacting, but like, am I though? The whole thing just felt so familiar and wrong, and I couldn't stop thinking about how Tyler used to say the same things. She's just a friend. You're being paranoid. It's just work stuff. And then I found out they'd been having an emotional affair for months. So I went to the bedroom and started packing my overnight bag. I know that sounds extreme, but I was just so angry and hurt, and I felt like he was choosing to defend his relationship with another woman over understanding why I was upset. Jake followed me and kept trying to calm me down, saying I was being paranoid and overreacting. That's when I really lost it. I told him I wasn't going to be the backup girlfriend while he has emotional intimacy with his assistant. I said if he wants to have a work wife who knows his family better than I do, then maybe he should just date her instead. I told him I'd move back with my sister and block his number unless he promises to keep things strictly professional with Sarah and never discuss personal stuff with her again. He looked completely shocked and said I was being unreasonable, that it was just innocent conversation, and that lots of people are friendly with their coworkers. But here's the thing. My sister has been telling me for months that Jake is changing me and making me less available for family stuff. And maybe she's right. Like, maybe I'm so desperate to make this relationship work that I'm ignoring obvious red flags. I ended up staying at my sister's last night, and Jake has been texting me all day saying we need to talk. But I don't know. Am I being crazy, or is this actually inappropriate? I mean, his assistant remembers personal details about his family and helps him shop for gifts. That seems like emotional cheating to me. Am I the idiot for threatening to leave unless he promises to keep things strictly professional with his assistant? Edit. Since so many are asking, no, I haven't met Sarah yet. Jake keeps saying he wants to introduce us, but there's always some reason why it doesn't work out, which honestly makes me even more suspicious, because if it's all innocent, why hasn't he made more effort for us to meet? Also, my sister pointed out that it's weird how much Jake talks about work stuff in general. Like he'll mention Sarah helping with this or Sarah suggesting that, and I didn't really notice before, but now that I think about it, she comes up in conversation a lot, more than any of his other coworkers. And to everyone saying I'm overreacting, maybe you've never been cheated on by someone who swore their coworker was just a friend until you found out they weren't. I'd rather be called paranoid than be made a fool of again. Now for the first update. Update. You were right about family stress affecting my judgment, but it's worse than I thought. So I know a lot of you said my paranoia about Jake and his assistant was probably coming from somewhere else, and that I should look at what's really stressing me out. Well, you were right, but also this is so much worse than I expected. I was trying to focus at work yesterday, Monday, still staying at my sister's, and even though Jake's been texting, wanting to talk, I haven't been ready to actually have that conversation since Sunday, when my sister called me literally sobbing, like full-on hysterical crying. She's going on about how I never sent the $800 for Dad's medical bills, and the payment deadline is today, and his credit is going to be screwed if we don't pay right now. I'm sitting there like, what, $800? What medical bills? I mean, I knew Dad had that heart episode a few months ago, but I thought insurance covered everything. And honestly, with all the chaos lately, I've been so scattered, I couldn't remember if we'd talked about this before or not. So I asked her to remind me what this was for again, and she explodes, starts screaming about how I promised to help 2 weeks ago, and now I'm being selfish and putting money before family. She's saying Dad's insurance is fighting some claims, and he's too proud to ask for help, but if we don't pay this today, his credit will be ruined and it'll affect his mortgage. I told her I needed to check my budget first because, hello, $800 is not nothing, and ask why she didn't remind me sooner if it was so urgent. That's when she really lost it. Started saying I'm being just like I am with Jake, putting my own wants before family emergencies. She said she's going to have to call other relatives and tell them I refuse to help with Dad's medical crisis. Guys, I felt like such garbage. Like maybe I really did agree to this and forgot because I've been so focused on relationship stuff. So I called my aunt to see if she knew what was going on with Dad's health. And that's when things got really weird. My aunt said she was glad someone else was finally talking about this. Turns out my sister called her last week asking for money for Dad's mental health treatment that needed to be kept secret from the family. Different story entirely. My aunt also mentioned that our cousin said my sister had asked him for money for car repairs around the same time. I'm starting to freak out at this point because none of these stories match up. So I asked my aunt if anyone has actually talked to Dad directly about any of this. She admits they all figured someone else was handling it and didn't want to stress Dad with questions about his health, since my sister specifically told everyone that Dad was embarrassed about the bills and asked them not to mention it to him. You guys, my sister has been running some kind of, I don't even know what to call it, scam. She's been telling different family members different emergency stories and asking everyone for money separately. The family group chat has been going off since yesterday. Turns out she contacted 5 different relatives with 5 completely different emergency stories. My uncle thought he was helping with prescription costs. My cousin thought it was car repairs. My aunt thought it was therapy bills. My other cousin thought it was for some kind of medical equipment. And the thing is, she specifically told each person that Dad was too proud or embarrassed to discuss it, so nobody wanted to look heartless by asking too many questions or calling Dad directly to check. I feel so stupid. No wonder I've been stressed out of my mind lately. My sister has been creating fake family emergencies constantly, and then making me feel guilty for not dropping everything to help immediately. And then when I'm stressed and paranoid about other stuff in my life, she uses that to make me feel guilty too. I still don't know what to do about Jake. Like, I probably was being paranoid about his assistant, but my sister has been messing with my head about being selfish and not caring about family enough. So when Jake was being friendly with a coworker, my brain immediately went to, see, you're not enough. You're gonna lose this too. I haven't called Dad yet because honestly, I'm scared of what we're going to find out. What if there are real medical bills mixed in with whatever my sister is doing? What if she's been using his information somehow? I feel like my whole family is falling apart and I don't even know what's real anymore. Edit 1. For everyone asking if I've contacted Dad yet, I'm planning to drive over there tomorrow to talk in person. I'm honestly scared of what we might find, but you're right that he needs to know what's been happening. I should have just called him directly when my sister first mentioned medical bills instead of assuming she was handling it. I think I've been so trained to just fix whatever crisis she brings me that I stopped asking basic questions. Now for the second update. I don't even know where to begin with what happened when I went to Dad's house yesterday. So, like I said in my last post, I was planning to drive over and talk to Dad in person about these supposed medical bills my sister kept asking for money for. I was honestly scared of what I might find out, but you guys were right that he needed to know what was happening. I got there around 2 p.m., and Dad was in the garage working on his motorcycle. He seemed genuinely happy to see me, but also confused about why I looked so stressed. I asked him how he was feeling and if he needed any help with medical stuff. He just stared at me. Dad told me he felt fine and hadn't even been to the doctor since his annual checkup in January. I pulled out my phone and showed him the text from my sister about urgent payments for his medical bills and his credit getting ruined if we didn't pay immediately. He asked me to follow him inside and went straight to his desk where he keeps all his financial paperwork, started pulling out credit card statements and bank statements. Dad told me that my sister said she was helping him organize all this last month. He thought it was sweet of her to offer, since paperwork gives him headaches. We started going through everything together, and guys, it was so much worse than I expected. There were cash advances I'd never seen before, like $300 here, $500 there, going back months. Online transactions to websites I'd never heard of, things like Lucky 777 Gaming and Casino Royale 24 and PokerStars Online. Dad had never made any of these transactions. The worst part was finding printed emails in Dad's filing cabinet that he definitely didn't print. They were confirmations for online gambling accounts opened in his name. Different websites, all with his information, but the recovery emails were all going to some account that wasn't his. My sister has been using Danity to gamble online for months. Dad kept saying, "I don't understand," over and over while we looked at more and more evidence. Then he found a signature page that was obviously forged. You could tell because his real signature was right next to it on a legitimate bank form, and they looked completely different. Dad explained that she had him sign a bunch of papers, saying it was for medical insurance verification in case something happened to him. He didn't read them carefully because she's his daughter. I started crying at that point because the whole thing was just so awful. My sister had completely betrayed Dad's trust and stolen thousands of dollars from him to fund some gambling addiction. I didn't even know she had. Dad immediately called my sister and put it on speaker, told her she needed to come over right now and explain what was happening with his credit cards. She tried to play dumb at first, asking what he meant and if everything was okay. But when Dad started reading off specific transactions, her voice changed completely. She said she'd be right over and hung up. She showed up in like 45 minutes. When she saw all the paperwork spread out on the table and me sitting there with tears on my face, she just broke, started sobbing and saying she never meant for it to go this far, that it started small, but she kept losing money and had to win it back, that she was going to pay everything back before anyone noticed. Dad asked her how much money we were talking about. 12,000, maybe 13, she whispered. $13,000. She stole $13,000 from our dad to gamble online. But then she said something that really upset me. She told me that if I reported this, she'd face criminal charges, and she'd have to tell Jake what kind of criminal family he was really getting involved with. I asked her what the hell that was supposed to mean. She started talking about how a guy like Jake doesn't want to deal with a girlfriend whose sister is a convicted felon, whose family has fraud and theft charges. She said he's not going to stick around for family court dates and police reports and all that mess. She kept going. She said she'd been trying to protect me from making another mistake with a guy who's going to leave anyway, that Jake's already emotionally cheating with his assistant, like I said before. This just gives him the perfect excuse to dump me and blame it on my crazy family instead of admitting he wanted someone else. Then she said something that just destroyed me. She reminded me about David and how he suddenly decided she was too dramatic for family events after that whole thing with Mom's wedding, and Alex, who said our family had too much chaos right after Cousin Jenny's legal troubles. She asked if I wanted to give Jake the same excuse. I'm not gonna lie, my mind started racing, because she was right about my exes. They always found reasons to distance themselves when family stuff got complicated, and I'd already been paranoid about Jake and his assistant. My sister kept talking. She said she'd figure out how to pay Dad back without involving the police if I helped her. But Jake's going to find out about this eventually, and when he does, he's going to realize I come with way too much baggage. She said I should probably end things now before he gets the chance to embarrass me first. Before leaving Dad's house, I I quickly took photos of all the financial documents and forged signatures with my phone. I knew we'd need evidence of what she'd done, regardless of whether Dad decided to report it or not. I left Dad's house feeling like my entire world was falling apart. Dad said he needed time to think about whether to report the fraud or give my sister a chance to pay it back somehow, but I could tell he was heartbroken. I drove straight to Jake's apartment because I needed to tell him what was happening before my sister could somehow twist it. I figured if I was honest about everything, maybe we could handle it together. He wasn't home yet, but I have a key, so I let myself in to wait. I thought maybe I could organize all the evidence I'd taken pictures of on his computer so I could show him exactly what happened. Jake came home around 7 and went straight to shower since he'd been at the gym. I was still on his computer organizing the fraud documentation when his work messaging app automatically logged in, and that's when I saw it. A conversation thread with his assistant, with 847 messages right there in the chat history. 847 messages over the past few months. I didn't even read them. I couldn't. My brain just shut down. Because my sister was right. Of course she was right. Here I was, about to tell Jake about my criminal sister and my dysfunctional family, and he'd already been building some relationship with another woman behind my back. 847 messages. That's not just work stuff. I closed the laptop and started packing the few things I had left at his apartment. I could hear the shower still running. I know I should have confronted him. I know I should have read the messages to see what they actually said, but I just couldn't. After everything with Tyler, and now finding out about my sister's lies and threats, I couldn't handle another conversation where someone tries to convince me I'm being paranoid when the evidence is right there. I left without saying anything and drove to a hotel near the airport. Jake showed up at my sister's apartment around 11 p.m. I wasn't there, obviously, but my sister texted me about it. She told him I wasn't ready to talk and that maybe he should think about what he'd done to make me leave without explanation. I know what you're all going to say, that I should have stayed and talked to him, that I should have read the messages before jumping to conclusions, that I'm letting my sister's manipulation mess with my head. But honestly, I'm just so tired of being the fool who believes everything will work out fine while everyone else lies to me. My family is falling apart. My sister is a criminal who's been manipulating all of us for months, and apparently my boyfriend has been having some kind of emotional relationship with his assistant this whole time. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I can't go back to my sister's place because she's a liar and a thief. I can't face Jake because I already know what he's going to say, that I'm overreacting and it's not what it looks like, and I need to trust him. Just like Tyler said, maybe my sister is right, and I should have ended things before Jake got the chance to leave me for someone else anyway. I'm staying at this hotel for now, but I can't afford it long term. I feel like everything good in my life was built on lies, and now it's all crashing down at once. I don't even know why I'm posting this. I guess I just needed to tell someone what happened, since I don't have anyone else to talk to right now.